Christ for all peoples. What is Christ for all peoples? This is an introductory video for several other presentations coming up. And this is Tommy Belk. I'm on staff at Christ for all peoples. And we're seeking more partners to do ministry with us, especially here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area for me, and seeking more partners to pray with us and to financially support us for this important work. But first, I would like for you to see why listening to what we have to say all the way through these presentations is worth your time. There are several really large-scale, very important issues for which we at Christ for All Peoples have found some amazing and powerful solutions. My desire for you is to be like King David's sons of Issachar, of whom it was said, they understood the times and they knew what to do. In other words, they were able to understand what the real issues of the day were from God's perspective. And they knew what to do, what solutions to be involved in and to be doing. I found that very few people in the church, even the people on the mission and evangelism committees, really understand the nature of the issues I will take the time to unpack for you and the incredible solutions God is working right now out on the mission fields. Hey, why not figure out how to use right here what is really working so well out there? So I will take the time in this introduction to just sketch the skeleton outline of some major things, and then in the next sessions coming up, flesh it out in more depth for you. That's why we have several of these sessions that build further what we started. In addition to our sessions here, we have a 6-week free online course we'd like you to consider at www.issacharInitiative.org called Count for Zero, which is part of a coalition of 300 organizations to globally finish Christ's Great Commission task. The Count for Zero course is put together by well-known leaders in both the church and the business world marketplace who will help you understand the times in terms of Christ's Great Global Commission, what's going on, and give some ideas of what to do, similar to what we're doing here. First issue to understand is that there are huge global-wide population movements going on. Demographic migration shifts are in motion all over the planet. Floods of international peoples are pouring in to the United States. They are impacting all aspects of our lives here. These shifts are sort of like the impact of tectonic plates, affecting the Earth's surface. Everything is affected by these, and so it is with these demographic shifts of people population movements. Everything's affected. So one major question of the church today, the issue, is what do we do about all these foreign people and their different religions and values showing up everywhere around us, affecting everything? The second major hot issue and question in the church today is, what does discipleship really mean? Researchers have found that in the church there's not a clear understanding of what discipleship is. They found that churches call whatever programs they make up discipleship and are usually just classroom knowledge-based approaches without action with personal mentors and done away from where daily living happens. But also the distractions of our world all around us are huge. Not just the information overload and ranges of choices about everything, but all the negative things going on in our government, economy, terrorism, bad totalitarian regimes out there, and of course the impact of all the foreign people pouring in here. But Jesus, the apostles, and Paul, they understood the times of their age and never were in doubt what to do. Here's Paul writing in 2 Timothy to his decades-long disciple Timothy, now the pastor of Ephesus, the largest megachurch back then. The Emperor Nero's government is now persecuting. Christians are suffering. Timothy's people and his leaders are just jumping, leaving, fleeing the church. Paul is stuck in a Roman prison. It's very fearful, confusing, evil times. Talk about distractions. But what does Paul tell Timothy in 2 Timothy 2:2 to do after telling him not to be in fear and to be strong by going deeper by abiding in Christ, he basically says, Timothy, go back to the basics of Jesus' Great Commission and make disciples. The most important thing to focus on. That is what he meant when he said the patterns you've heard from me, Paul. You see, Paul here is saying the thing you've learned from me that I've learned from the Holy Spirit, from Jesus, that you, Timothy, number 2, entrust to faithful men, number 3, who in turn teach, train others also. So a relationship chain of passing down the pattern. This is his way of saying discipleship. So in light of that, is there anything more important today, no matter what programs we have going on in the church or what chaos is distracting us out in the world, than to focus on the best ways we can finish the task of Christ's Great Commission, to go make disciples of all the nations and all the people groups in those nations? And connected to the issue of what does discipleship really mean and how important should it be, can today's discipleship and church planning efforts reproduce as rapidly as we saw in the scriptures? Paul, in just 8-10 years, saturated 7 provinces of the Roman Empire with the gospel, using the exact same things he told Timothy to do. And he left a movement of multiplying disciples in churches many generations deep all over the Roman Empire. And they started mostly with people who were far from God. Not only did this gospeling discipleship geographically spread very widely, it crossed all kinds of diverse culture and language barriers as it went reaching all kinds of international peoples. So the question is, can this happen today? Is anything with the speed and the solidarity really happening today out on the mission fields all over our planet today? And how do we do church right here in the United States with the overall church's membership statistically declining? So is anything going on from God big enough to deal with all the world's distractions, both in and outside the churches, and deal with this giant wave of population changes hitting right here in the United States and right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where these rapid changes are happening faster than in other places? So I encourage you to stick with what we have to say all the way through these upcoming presentations. And if these issues are of interest to you, whether you want to partner with us or not, I'm sure you will learn some new things about these issues and some terrific things going on in response to them. It'll be a blessing to you. So before presenting the next presentation, I want to talk a little bit about partnering with us. Here's what you help to get done, helping to get what to do accomplished. First, I'm involved in recruiting folks in the Charlotte area, both existing American folks and international Christians, to use successful ministry tools and methods, and here's the particular ones, like the Jesus Film, T for T, mobile media, and others. The Jesus Film is an amazing 4 billion people. That is 4 billion with a B have watched this film over its 30-year history, hundreds of millions of decisions for Christ. Before your eyes glaze over with just these huge numbers, we just want to equip you to be able to use it right here where you are, especially with people of other languages, to work as a tool that God has used mightily to work on the task of the Great Commission. And we want you to learn simple, easy to do, user-friendly skills, train people from very effective evangelism, discipling, church planning movements from the mission field, like T for T, which stands for Training for Trainers. There are other movements similar to T for T that some of our partners use, and we encourage that. In 10 years, this T for T movement has seen tens of millions of baptisms and hundreds of thousands of discipleship groups, churches formed, and not just in one country, but in numbers of continents. Also, right now, mobile computing and phone devices like iPads, tablets, smartphones are the cutting edge of technology. Now, mission-minded disciplers can go where they are, where these people are, whether in a hut far away or right here in an apartment complex of refugees. And while translated in a people group's own particular dialect, share stories, scriptures, teaching. What a great tool for discipleship church planting persons who are out there to go where they are. And of course, training people to use all these kinds of tools is what we're about. And number two is me directly doing these things as an example. And number three, me networking, enabling both Americans and internationals to connect, collaborate with each other, and apply these tools and methods and other ones, but also do Christian community development efforts, which is another word for mercy ministries, loving, loud, helping people, and then getting to the gospel and discipleship through that. And then me supporting our founder and president of Christ for All Peoples, Phil Cone, and the other staff like Pam, who works with the ladies, and the other guys, with national level relations and projects, even international. So this is some of what you can help us get done as partners. In the next set of presentations, you will learn more in depth with specific details and some great real-life stories of what we began to discuss here in this introductory session. So part one, the first session after this introduction, is called Our Mission, Global and Local Perspectives. In this session, we will, as it was said years ago, think globally and act locally in order to understand and be passionately motivated about the issues of our times and the big picture of what Christ wants us to know how to do, and how the apostles knew what to do, and how there are people today on a global scale with large numbers know what to do out there on the mission fields. And so our mission is to equip people for that right here and now. It's a big picture session looking at the issues and our mission. Then the next session gets more specific. It's our first major tool, the Jesus film and our history. This session is about our organizational history and the development of our 2,500 partners that are closely tied with our founder and president Phil Cone's very active involvement with the globally powerful Jesus Film Project, and our direct role in the creation of the Jesus Film DVDs, especially for our partners' outreaches in the United States and Canada. And then the next session, another specific one, a second major tool and process, T for T, which stands for Training for Trainers. Phil, looking at the mission field, studied who was effective out there that could better help our partners follow up in their outreaches through training with simple but effective skills to personally connect with people, effectively share the gospel, do reproducing discipleship, form groups, and plant churches. So he chose to partner with this movement called T for T, and with those who are making it work right here on American soil, not just out on the mission field. There are other similar church planting movements we encourage as well. And so we, and me personally, are now doing that right here in the Charlotte area as well. And then the last part 4 session is about our newest project, equipping mobile missionaries. And also it ends up with what partnering helps get done. Phil works with a lot of leaders of many organizations across the United States and out in the world. So there's a new role of equipping those on-the-ground leaders, both ones abroad and some right here, some of whom also connect back to their own people over there in their own countries. These folks already know how to reach people, disciple well, and plant groups in churches. They're leaders. They will become even better equipped when we can help them have cutting-edge local language tools in their own people group dialects through inexpensive mobile phones and devices. And then in this last session, we'll review again what partnering with us helps to get done, both here locally and globally out there as well. And of course, you can jump right into any of these sessions if you want to know more or learn more first, one before the other. So all these sessions will tell in more detail what you could help us get done as partners. I encourage you to continue on with us to the next set of presentations to learn more in depth who we are and what we do and how incredibly these things work. Thanks for listening.